Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and today I'm going to be doing a tag. I haven't done a tag in a while and yeah, so I'm going to do the end of the year tag. This has been going around again because it is that time of year. I believe the original creator of this tag was Ariel Bissett. I'll probably put a link like in the description to her YouTube channel. I'm not sure she's still active anymore, but I believe her YouTube channel does still exist. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, there's just 6 questions in this tag, so this will probably be a short video. This is just sort of going through some of my plans for the rest of the year and potentially even looking ahead a little bit to next year, which is a perfect time to do that in September or October, because yeah, I want to make sure that we're still on track to do everything I want to do by the end of the year. So let's just dive into it. The first question is, and again, I'll probably put the questions also like in the description below, so if anybody else wants to do it, they can. I probably won't tag anybody for this because this is just kind of one of those tags that anybody and everybody can do, and I think if you want to do it, you should probably just do it. So anyway, the first question is, are there any books you've started that you still need to finish by the end of the year? And my answer to that is no, because I did finish Middlemarch. I started Middlemarch in January, and yeah, it took me till I finally finished it in like end of August, beginning of September, I think, but I did finish it. So yeah, I don't currently have anything that I sort of have on pause or anything like that. It's possible I might again in the future. It happens sometimes, but right now I'm doing pretty good. And for the most part, I'm just sort of reading things one at a time. And I'm not really doing any multi-reads right now or anything like that, so. The second question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition to the end of the year? And I would say, I mean, like, I don't know that I have like a particular book that I consider to be a transitional type book. Mostly September, October is the time when I start to read a lot more spooky or atmospheric type books. I like that kind of book all the time, but September, October is like the time of year when I really get into that. So I have been reading a lot of those kinds of books. Even especially just this month, I've read The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. I've read Starling House, which was quite atmospheric. A House with Good Bones. All of these will be in my October wrap-up video. But yeah, like for me, a transitional book or an autumnal kind of read for me is always something that's going to be very atmospheric. It's going to be kind of gothic, maybe have some spooky vibes to it. But that's to me that's an autumnal read. Something that's witchy, whatever. Those are all really good autumnal reads. The third question, is there a new release you're still waiting for? No, not really. I've said before that, honestly, new releases are not something I pay a whole lot of attention to. I'm aware of some because I spend a lot of time watching other booktubers talk about upcoming releases, but like most of what I hear talked about is stuff that I either haven't read yet and therefore I'm not yet waiting for the next book in the series or whatever, or stuff that I'm honestly never going to read because it's just not my thing. So no, there was one, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, that I was anticipating, that I did pre-order, and it came out and I got it and I read it. But that's really it. It doesn't happen super often for me. I tend to just sort of read at my own pace, and I read a good mix of, you know, older books and more recent releases. I don't really keep up, because it's, for me, trying to keep up with with upcoming releases tends to be kind of a losing proposition, because there's so many books all the time that I want to read that trying to keep up with new releases is in and of itself pretty much a full-time job, and I don't want to do that. I want to be able to read older books, newer books, whatever I'm feeling like. So no, I don't really pay attention to upcoming releases for the most part, and can't really think of anything that's coming out before the end of the year that I'm like, oh yeah, I have to read that. It doesn't happen to me super often. Once in a while it does, but it's already happened once this year, and that's about as much as we can expect it to happen. So the next, number 4 question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I'm glad this question narrows it down to 3, because otherwise I would probably have some trouble. Because of course the question is, if the question is, are there any books you still feel like you need to read before the end of the year? The answer to that is always simultaneously, yes, all of them, and no, none of them, right? At the same time, right? There's always a feeling of, yes, I always need to read everything, and also simultaneously, no, I don't need to read anything at all. So narrowing it down to 3, I think it works for me a little bit better. So I was able to find 3 that I want to read. First, I do want to get to System Collapse by Martha Wells. I'm currently a little over halfway through Fugitive Telemetry. System Collapse will be the final, at least for right now, the final book in the Murderbot Diaries, which means that I can get it read by the end of the year. Then I will be caught up with the Murderbot Diaries. I think, as far as I'm aware, it's the last one that my library has available anyway, so I'll consider myself caught up once I get that book finished, which will be cool, because then I will have read all of the Murderbot Diaries in this one year, which is fun. I'm excited to have those all under my belt. I've been really enjoying the Murderbot Diaries, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to I don't know if it's completed, if it's like done, or if there's like potentially going to be more in the future, but either way, being caught up with it is very exciting for me. And then of course, I will also be trying to read Ship of Destiny by the end of the year. I actually just finished Mad Ship. But yeah, once I get this read, then I will, I'm keeping up with Leanne at Literary Diversions, who's hosting a Fitz-along, basically a readathon of all of the Realm of the Elderlings books, and this will complete the Live Ship Traders trilogy by the end of the year, which will mean that I will have completed the first 2 trilogies in that series. And so yeah, I'll be getting to this before the end of the year. And then for the 3rd book, I wasn't quite sure what to say for number 3, but I am tentatively saying I want to read Brave New World by Aldous Huxley by the end of the year, if only because this is the last classic pick that I purchased for myself like way back in January, and it's the only one that's still sitting on my TBR shelf that I haven't yet read from like way back in January. All the others I've read, so this one is still sort of outstanding, and I want to get it read by the end of the year. There's a couple more classics that I also want to try to read by the end of the year, but I want to sort of prioritize this one because, again, it's been sitting on my TBR, on my physical TBR, since January, and I don't want to have this just not get read. So yeah, those are the 3. It'll be System Collapse, Ship of Destiny, and Brave New World are like the 3 that I'm like, yes, I definitely want to get these read by the end of the year. I'm glad that this question has only 3 on it, because any more than that, I have a really hard time planning my reads more than a few weeks in advance, really. Like, I know probably the next couple of print books that I'm going to be reading. Like when I finish the one I'm doing now, I'll probably pick up this one. After that, I'll probably pick up another one. Other than that, I don't really plan most of my reads, and I certainly do not plan my audiobook reads very far in advance, because usually with audiobooks, all of the audiobooks I get are library checkouts. I do not purchase audiobooks for the most part. So it's dependent. So audiobooks are always dependent on either what's available right now on Libby that I can just start listening to as soon as I feel like it, and or when my hold on it comes in. I cannot predict that usually. I usually have like 3 or 4 holds at any given time, and I'm never quite sure when they're gonna become available. I just have to grab them when they do and listen to them. So it's hard for me to plan those ahead. So yeah, question 5. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? I mean, yeah, always. Again, like, I don't plan a lot of things in advance usually, so like any book that I read could potentially be my new favorite book. I just never know. Like, I'm probably going to be reading Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier quite soon, and like, that seems like it's probably very much up my alley, and you know, a lot of people I know whose taste I respect say that it's a really, really good book and one of their favorites, so that might become a new favorite. You know, the Ship of Destiny might become a new favorite. Robin Hobb has quickly become a new favorite author of mine this year. Same with Martha Wells and the Murderbot Diaries. So yeah, like, any book potentially could become a new favorite. That's, yeah. And I would not say that like any one book this year that I've read has been like such a standout that it stands head and shoulders above literally every other thing I've read. I've been reading a lot this year, and I have thoroughly enjoyed most of what I have read. So yeah, it's always a possibility. I'm not anywhere near deciding like what is my quote unquote favorite read of the year. Certainly, that's not really something I do anyway. So yeah, sure. And the final question is, have you started making plans for next year? I mean, yeah, I have. It's fall. It's that time of year when you start to think ahead a little bit and be like, well, you know, this year I kind of maybe failed at this a little bit, so next year maybe I should try it this way or something like that. So yeah, I'm already considering like what kinds of classics I want to put on my sort of classics TBR for 2025. I'm thinking about potentially other readathons that I might want to do in 2025, or other sorts of TBRs or little challenges that I can set for myself, or other things to help me pace out my reading some more, because I feel like, 2024 I've been kind of reading, for a lot of this year I've been kind of reading at a very breakneck pace, and I'd like to try and pace myself out a little bit more. If anything, I'd like to slow down. I know lots of people are sort of under the impression that like quantity is somehow better than quality when it comes to reading. But I think there is a good balance to be found there, and I feel like I've leaned a little bit too far into the quantity side of things this year, and so I'm thinking of different ways that I can maybe try to pace out my reading a little bit more next year, and take my time with some things. So I might try to do like another, I failed at doing a Year of Middlemarch, but I might try to do another like year-long readathon of something like War and Peace or something like that. I do want to try to read some Russian literature at some point. And that, I think, would probably be a good way to do it, because again, it's very slow paced. It has like sort of weekly check-ins, discussions to help work through the text a little bit more thoroughly and things like that. And some other things that I'm thinking about doing, basically to sort of pace myself out with some of these, especially some of these longer, denser reads that I want to do, instead of trying to rush through them very quickly. You don't need to do that, especially with a bigger, denser book like a War and Peace, or an Anna Karenina or whatever. It's definitely something that you can, that I should be able to pace myself out on. So yeah, I definitely have some plans like that. And yeah, I honestly, I almost certainly will be doing another Our Fantasy bingo board in 2025 when the current one ends at the end of March, because I've really been enjoying that. It's really worked for me very well, and I'm continuing to, get things read on that bingo board. So yeah, that'll probably be something I do again because it's worked quite well for me so far. So yeah, lots of plans, honestly. And again, I tend to go a little bit crazy with the plan making and making lists and things at the beginning of the year, and then often don't all end up working out, but that's okay. It's not really a big deal either way. But yeah, so that is the end of year book tag. Yeah, what are you doing for the end of the year? Have any big plans? Any new releases you're super excited about? I just because I don't have any doesn't mean other people don't have some that they're interested in. Um, any other big books that you're planning to tackle by the end of the year, or plans that you're making for next year? Let me know in the comments as always, and like, subscribe if you want. If you want, no pressure. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.